Hello and welcome to day 48 of 365 Days to Racial Change. My name is Tomlins Nyback, and let's get right to it. We're informed by the work of a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. He's very articulate and knowledgeable about the issues facing Black Americans in this nation, and also white America and its entitlement and privilege in the land. I've read 3 of his works, and we reference them almost exclusively here. We draw from other sources, but I read these books. My life's been changed. He's got a lot of videos. He's also he directs, if you will, PowerNomics.com if you'd like to check out some more resources, and he's part, or if not the chairman or head of the Heritage Institute. Also, you'll find behind me this hashtag #US2, hashtag USTOO, for communities talking about Black issues. There's also Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, and these those 2 sources, among probably many others, just engaging with Black communities and having that discussion. I've read 3 of Dr. Anderson's work. Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. A phenomenal book, incredible things you just don't know about what's going on in white America. It's dominated by whiteness is the issue. Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice, and his national plan to empower Black America, PowerNomics. Know that these materials and things are, the materials are over a decade old, but the issue has been going on for hundreds of years here in America. So it's all relative. Change is very slow, if at all. So I'm just on my 1-year project to make videos and talk about Black issues and educate even my small community about things going on, or that have gone on, or where we're going, where we're headed. It's just a big, long issue. My goal, 2 things I'd like to have people here understand. One is, well, one part has 2 veins, if you will. And the first part is, does the Black slave mind continue, and is it passed down from generation to generation? Is my upbringing, is my attitude towards life just an inherited mindset from generations of the past? And conversely, is white entitlement and privilege and whatnot, does that hold the same weight as that former argument? Meaning, does white entitlement and privilege get passed down, that mindset from generation to generation from slavery? Okay, that's the one thing. Also, economically, which is really what fuels the argument here at 365 Days towards Racial Change, is economically, where do Blacks stand? And, are Blacks playing the economic game properly in the United States? So many of our little short pieces here will talk about Black economics, being Black, and what that means economically, how that is situated, how we situate ourselves in America, and whether or not we're playing rightly. I'll present arguments as far as Blacks being united as a community and things like that. We'll find that essentially Black people are not engaging properly the economic discourse in America. Whites, Asians, Hispanics, Arabs are. Jews are. Blacks are not. We are just a consumer class in America, and we could do better. And finally, we want to look at, have some story time. Occasionally, every week or so, we'll look at Uncle Tom's Cabin, see how little Tom is doing in his slave life in mid-1800 America. And a great book written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. And it's an important book. I referenced that book because that fictional account of slave life, of white master life, has its impact. It has spilled over into 21st century America. And it's important to see some of the sources of racism, how we live some of these themes out. And some of them come from her work. We get blackface from her work, this theatrical expression of being black in America. And what was a theatrical art form, of course, when it first came out, just as a Freddy Krueger character or a Jason character, Power Ranger, it's a costume, but that's been cast off, and blackface is a very negative expression because of its attachment, what it's been attached to, and with slavery and all that in America. But we'll look at, see how Tom's coming along. He's recently just found out he's being sold, and there's some uproar and upheaval going on in his life. We'll check in a couple of weeks and see how that has progressed. First, I want to talk, every once in a while I'll talk about current events. I want to just give a minute to this, to some developing things. The president at this time, it's 2019, guy's a real nut job. He talks before he thinks and all this stuff. He just really ruined himself the other day with a press conference. But I don't want to talk about that. I just saw a little blurb about how his son made some comments about socialism, and that is becoming an issue. That's no doubt going to be a presidential issue coming up in America. And what I just want to say a blurb about America is becoming extremely top-heavy with people with wealth. And like day follows night, like the stock market is cyclical, depressions, recessions are cyclical, people go through cycles. We have life and death cycles in America. Well, we're going to have a redistribution of wealth cycle coming up, and the privileged, wealthy, financially wealthy are having a lot of enjoying an extreme time of immense prosperity right now, but they're not sharing. See, this is the thing about America is this nation is not sharing. So things would be so much different if it was equitable and things like that. But we got these Americans, these elites, they just gobble up, corner things, and keep it all to themselves and hoard it, and continue to enslave and make people work harder and take and do all kinds of laws with taxes and things like that in America. And it's just unacceptable. And these things, we've got this escalating debate over socialism and capitalism and all the financial isms going around. Look, we just need to share and do right, make everybody strong. How can I don't know how these people can be billionaires and watch their citizens work themselves to death and to the bone for them. That's not America. That's not American. We need to share. So, you know, the president and these billionaires who are not sharing, their time is coming. You know, there's no way around it. It's cyclical, and there's nature is always moving towards equilibrium and balance. And right now, this imbalance is becoming very profound in America. So that's a little quick thing about that. Maybe it'll intersect, I'm sure, our studies here in the next few months coming up. But today I want to talk about business, and we're talking about going back to vertical integration. We're never going to move far from this. Vertical integration is part of Dr. Anderson's solution for Black America, and it's very necessary because we have to, as a group, vertically integrate, just like whites, Asians, Hispanics, and Arabs, and Jews, and everybody else. And vertical integration simply means that we are owning and controlling all aspects of a process or service, you know, from gathering raw materials, processing them, pricing them, marketing them, and distributing them to customers and things like that. And that cycle goes on and on. But it's blacks. It's a specific community doing that. Whites do it with whites. Asians are very exclusive in their exercise of vertical integration. They're very explicit about how they exclude blacks and they don't reciprocate black commerce, right? Blacks go to their Chinatowns and their restaurants, hair care, and we got these Asians dominating black hair care and cosmetics and whatnot, but they don't hire us, they don't holler back to us and reciprocate the business. So that's very discouraging aspect. It's improper, as it's not American, to be so exclusive. The black response, conversely, has to be exclusive because nobody's giving us any breaks. We can't expect much. So anyway, we're going to look at 4 areas. There are more. This is coming out of PowerNomics.com. PowerNomics.com and the PowerNomics book, Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America. And we want to take a look at this this process here, okay? And it's towards the back of his book where he goes into a lot of big areas. And one area, this vertical integration, he addresses 4 industries. Initially there, he addresses more, but I just decided to look at 4 today. First one, this idea of owning and controlling every level and aspect of industry is he talks about leather and some solutions. The Americas are incredible producer of hides, which is interesting, where we produce the hides, yet we're importing the leather. It means we're exporting hides, the leather, from slaughterhouses and I guess wherever they're getting these animal hides. We're exporting them and they're being processed in other countries and then brought back over here. It's got to be a big money maker for somebody. Anyway, blacks can vertically integrate in this industry, first off by proximity, since the leather, the hides are here, and also that he gives an idea. He says, well, let's make our tanneries in Haiti tanners are just processing the skins. The Apostle Paul was a tanner. That was one of his gifts. He mended nets. He was a tanner. A lot of hands-on manual labor stuff. But Dr. Anderson says, well, you know, we could use Haiti as a place. It's a black country, and it would be a great place to start businesses and things like that around tanning leather. He also cites, in an overall sense, not just leather as an industry, but how the government can put up trade barriers and protections for the leather industries. Other countries create trade barriers and impediments for importing American resources. Why not? You know, why not do the same specifically, exclusively for blacks in America? You know, if you understand anything about what goes on here at 365 days towards racial change, then you know that America doing that exclusively for blacks is very problematic to begin with, and way outside the box as far as America's capabilities. But, you know, Dr. Anderson, he's brainstorming there a little bit. It would be nice if America was more sensitive to that, you know, to create a barrier so that blacks could operate and rise up. But we know why that's a problem. Okay. But leather is one industry that he cites. And some of these issues these industries I'm bringing up that he mentions in his book are in a sense industries that either are abandoned or are underrepresented or are wide open for participation by anyone here in America. Hydroponic farming is one of those gray areas but it is something that blacks can get into because blacks are in the urban areas. And what it is, and this has actually been going on for a while, it is, you know, you've got these individuals, forward thinkers, they're building farms inside abandoned buildings. They're reclaiming the buildings. You know, instead of tearing the building down, you got the building right there, the infrastructure, and pipes are already running all through the building and whatnot, and you can make a farm inside the building. You know, right there, you got everything right there, and it's very green as far as, you know, you almost eliminated transportation costs for getting fresh vegetables to market. Everything is right there. You could probably have a farmer's market right there on the bottom floor to you know, to create a customer base, and even any type of surplus can be either given out, sold at other bigger food chains in the area. But that'd be a perfect place for vertical integration for black folks, because black folks are already in the urban areas, things like that. Maybe there could be some offset living expenses and whatnot. You can easily make a shelter, a co-op shelter for homeless inside there, right on the bottom floor, and they would work the building and maintain these urban hydroponic farms, things like that. The ideas are endless you know. Of course, now we want to steer it towards creating a lifestyle and wages that are sustainable in the outside world, you know. Or maybe you just make it an ashram, huh? Right, like Gandhi had in India, you know, a place where people come and contribute and have a collective, uh, single-minded community participating. So that's a lot of things you can do with hydroponic farming and reclaiming some of these abandoned buildings in inner cities or whatnot that are still standing and that can tolerate um, some type of human habitation. Bottling water is another idea uh, for blacks because, well, say, you know, he's talking about the concentration of blacks in America, and blacks are concentrated, you know, in that urban sense. We're not in general in rural communities, you know, or gated communities miles from the city. We're not commuting, you know, we don't, blacks don't have that that general space uh, like whites do, you know. You know, you look at these whites, you have traffic jams and stuff because, you know, when during the work day, people are commuting, and it's all these white people from all over the area coming to these cities that do their work, and then they go back home to quiet and peace. Oh, and their children can run and play, and there's animals in the yard. There's no fences. Maybe the backyards have fences, but no fences around. You know, there's never police presence. They don't have police monitoring their space, you know, but closer to the city where blacks can either walk to work or take a close public transportation that's in a zone, a particular zone, you know, those areas of concentration of blacks. So bottling water is also another idea because these urban centers are located near water. And so there'd be filtration. There's idea of filtration. There's bottling. There's making the bottles. Transportation. You know, a lot of homes. There's a lot of private uh, recipients of water. You know, people have water like milk. Milk is still a product that gets home delivery. You know, water is the same product for home delivery. So you know, you get drivers. You know, you have a fleet and stuff. You know, I think with these industries, the idea maybe get the industry and maybe you're relying on other sources of labor, reliable labor. Hey, let's talk real. Are blacks noted for sustainability and sticking around? You know, all that. I know I have a terrible track record in employment. You know, I'm doing pretty well right now, but you know, I've been through jobs and have made huge errors and mistakes and all that. So you know, you want viable employees at the place and, you know, sustainable employees. You know, got to make the wages appropriate. You know, living wages, but you know what I mean. But the idea, get into these places, you know, you get your employment, get the business going, and then branch out and partner with maybe your distribution. You know, start your distribution arm, and you favor, you'd get these businesses and then begin to favor black folks. You know, you wouldn't be able to really come in the door talking about your distribution, supply, employees, uh, ownership of the building and land and all that, make it all black and all this. It's a process. There's going to be give and take. You're not going to be totally exclusive in every area. You can't be as explicit and exclusive as Asians and whites can in your business models and plans and whatnot. But that would be the idea, that you come in, just like military, you come in, you plant, and then you grow, just like these other groups, Arabs, Hispanics do. Come into an area and then slowly grow. It takes time. It's not some overnight thing. They have, that's the one thing I envy about these other groups, is that they seem to have that long-term view. They understand that they are in a process that takes generations upon generations, and enough of them are patient enough and are on board with that. Blacks aren't like that. You talk about a generation has to sacrifice, and you're going to run into some stiff resistance. And finally, his other no-brainer is sports. We need to vertically integrate. We need team ownership again. Before this, I think even before civil rights and social integration, you already had white team owners and whatnot drafting black talent, getting black talent underway, and that was, that was good, as long as we still had our black leagues and organizations and like that. But they sold out. There was a separation, a color line, in the leagues and stuff like that. But when white ownership started recruiting black talent, these leagues disappeared and were not sustainable anymore once white interest happened, and those color barriers were taken away. But if we can get black ownership of these high-power teams, the baseball, the NFL, even the really white sports like hockey and skiing, all the cold weather stuff. Blacks physically easily dominate anything we're into. We it's not like blacks can't ski or do gymnastics or race cars or whatever it is. Physically, blacks dominate. We always have. We need that lifetime of practice that whites do. It costs money to do something sustainable in cold weather. But since blacks in general don't have that financial base, then we are restricted to sports and things you can generally do in warm weather, especially basketball and baseball, football, any of those outside sports. You find it dominated by black folks. Maybe except with the soccer league, because that's a different international animal you see going on in the world. But American sports are dominated by black folks. Just look at the statistics. It's all black folks dominate. So that's one way. So with sports, we get into equipment, healthcare, team ownership. Own some stadiums. You know, from that you get concession stands and things like that. All could be vertically integrated easily if we blacks could just come together uh, and make it happen. A lot of hurdles to go through, uh, but if we can just think and pause and think critically about what we're watching and the potential that we could have in the world, we could make a difference. But it would take a few generations. Now it wouldn't happen overnight. That's day 48. More on vertical integration today. I'm Tomlin's Nyback. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow.